Hello everyone and welcome to Murphy's Law Garage. And today we break a bunch of jack stands. Y'all stick around to see just how sketchy us down south boys can really get.
Dang it.
All right everyone. We've got here a Chinese Harbor Freight press. You know, how ironic that we're going to use that to then fail one of Harbor Freight's original recalled jack stands. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but we've only got 20-30 pounds on that sucker and it is rocked back already.
That's correct.
The anvil is leaning away from the stand, so it already looks like this is going to fail horrendously. You might also be able to tell that right there I've got my one and only real safety factor. That is a, what is that, like 1/4 inch plywood?
Half inch.
Oh, is that really half? Oh, there you go. Got some somewhat rotten 1/2 inch plywood. And I've got this nice thick jumpsuit on. And, you know, maybe that'll save me when high pressure projectiles just nope straight out and nail me in the groin or through the heart or chest or something. Seth, though, very bravely has volunteered to stand nowhere next to the stand while I do this.
Safety first?
Yeah, for him apparently.
Yeah.
Safety second for me. All right, well, we're gonna get everything all set up and then we're gonna start pumping on this. I am not going to time lapse, you know, for fidelity and truancy and all of those things, if that was even a word. I'm gonna speed this up just while we're pumping until we get to the point that we start hearing really dirty sounds and things sound like they're gonna break, and then hopefully catch on camera some failure. I don't know if y'all heard that, but the jack stand gods might not be too happy with this because that thundercloud is not happy. Let's destroy some jack stands today. So what do you think, Seth? Think my PPE is appropriate? I mean, I've got safety glasses on that'll definitely keep me alive, right?
We live right now?
Oh, we are, kinda.
I ain't ready.
Let me put some gloves on.
I think I'll be all right, huh?
I think you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have double gloved the left hand. All right, ladies and gentlemen behind the camera, y'all ready for this? Oh, God. This is so sketchy. Here we go, count. So that was 1.
All right, 1, 2.
What's going on?
It's bending the steel.
It is bending the steel. Well, it can only do that for so long, eh? You want to keep going with it?
Sure. I done lost count.
Oh, well. Camera, we'll call that 18. Y'all tell us if we were wrong.
It
You're,
was like 20 something.
you ready?
Sure. 1. Way down there.
Yeah, it is. Wow. Okay. So apparently we're going to need to step up our game on the strength of some frame rails. But, you know, it's interesting. Can you see the bow?
Yeah, it's bowed out.
The Harbor Freight jack stand is beginning to bow. So people behind the camera, we're going to have to rectify this situation, get a stronger basil platen in here. Woo! That's not sketchy at all. We're going to find something stronger than this so that we can spread the weight evenly over the whole jack stand. While as it will fit on the press's basil platen, it doesn't work for the Harbor Freight, the US jack stands, and we want the test to be equal to all of them. So we're going to figure out a way, and we're going to find a piece of steel or something to put there. We'll be right back. It's all right if it wants to rock around a bit. It'll pin itself down. Come this way. That feels about right.
Call me crazy, but I got a feeling that we may bend something.
Call me crazy, but I got a feeling that we may bend something.
All right, everyone, we're back. We went to the scrap pile at the shipyard and got a piece of 1/2 inch stainless. I believe we'll destroy every piece of this Chinese steel long before that piece of stainless goes. What do you think, Seth?
I agree.
So let's You want to do the count over again? We've also added, for your convenience, a piece of green tape on the stand so that you could possibly see when the anvil decides to nope out. All right, let me get this adjusted just right. You ready, Seth, for a countdown?
Sure.
I like how you lost your ballistic plywood.
Well, good luck me.
All right, let's go.
1, 2, 5.
I can immediately already feel the difference between the frame rails in this because how quickly it got stiff. Like before, I could feel the flex.
Yeah, I kind of hear it too.
Oh God, that feels so bad. That's taking a remarkable amount of force.
9.
There's a little bit of bowing inwards on the 2 outer legs. Oh Jesus. Let me get perfectly behind this rail real quick. There's all kind of waviness and weeble wobbling going on. The anvil has been pushed into the shell of the stand, the base. It's actually peeling the tape up. Woo, this is sketchy. Wow. What the hell happened? It collapsed, didn't it? It did it.
Yeah, that was cool.
Holy cow, it's ruined. Let me take y'all off the stand over there so that y'all can come up close while we look at this. All right, Seth, you wanna? Oh, look it pushed. Look, this was peened in. The pin got forced out, so that's thing one. Can you get that to lift?
Nope.
It's completely bound up, isn't it? Oh, there it goes.
Nope.
It's stuck in there.
Yep. Pin right here.
Oh, is the pin trapping it now?
Yeah.
Y'all give us a hot second. We're gonna free that anvil up. All right, everyone, we came here in the race car shop to take a look at all of this. We've got it freed, pried the tab out here. Here's the anvil. I'm gonna take this tape off live and in person. Would you look at that? This is the one it would have been bit on right here. There's no perceivable damage to it. It basically looks like the rest of them. It's got a little bit of wear on the face of it. Let's turn it this way. You can see where it forced the pawl past it, but other than that, what do you think, Seth? I don't see any damage on this.
I don't see none either.
It just gave up the ghost. It literally just dropped its load. If you look in here, it actually appears to have possibly rounded the edge of the pawl off to be very square. See, it's much squarer than it would have been. You can see a little fleck of metal that got rolled over. I know somebody's going to say this, that it broke the shear pin. Let me see if I can get a shot down it. See, shear pin has not been broken. And if I roll it fully out, you can see just the extreme amount of force, but look where it bit. Look right there. Look, it rolled just that very edge. That's all it was holding on to that anvil. And when we put enough weight on it, and I would say, what do you think, Seth? That was probably, we were probably sniffing 3 tons. We were probably right around the upper limit of that jack.
A good bit.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that we overpressured this. I don't think we went past 3 tons, but we were at the upper limits of this one stand's ability. You can see we've got some Harbor Freight aluminum stands here. I don't think that Pops would like it very much if I destroyed one of those. We only use that for framework on race cars. Let's wow, that's crazy. It's cool and scary at the same time that we were able to replicate the failure of this stand. Now, it may not be due to shaking, and you could argue that we overloaded it, but I don't know about you, but I would far prefer to see a shear pin fail and bind that anvil, or the stand to physically begin to bend and crumple under weight before that anvil just randomly drops off. I mean, you could see in there that Paul is just barely holding on to anything in there, and that's what it was recalled for. Oh well. Let's see how the recalled stands fare up. Think those welds are going to do it?
Hopefully not.
Well, all right, everyone. We're chucked up. I wouldn't be lying to you if I said that this one scares me a little more, solely because it's a little better, right? So we know the pawl and teeth are better, but we also know that these things have split at their welds, so let's push on it and see what happens. Oh, let me put my leather glove PPE on here real quick. If there's any chance of my hand surviving this, it's this. Okay, so we've got pretty substantial amount of weight on it. I'd say we probably got our first ton. No movement, though. I can tell you this much, it does already appear to be as if it's possible the seam where the weld is has begun to stretch open. I feel like I can see daylight down there. Yeah, there's some deformation at the weld. The seam is starting to overlap itself a bit. You want to look at that and tell me if that's what that looks like to you?
Yeah, if you just don't pump it.
Yeah, I'm not pumping. Look at the seam that's facing us where the sticker is. Mm-hmm. Does that not look to you like that?
I see it at the top, maybe.
Yeah, you see how it almost looks overlapped? Okay. Base is for sure pushed really, really hard. I don't know if y'all can see this on camera. I'm not going to get too close to this. But just like the other Harbor Freight, the anvil is rocked very hard and backwards inside of it. And the tape is starting to peel up. I almost feel like we might see the same failure. Oh yeah, the legs are starting to bend. Come see this, Seth. Look at the legs on the outside. You're gonna have to get closer. Don't be such a sissy. Get in there. Look at the legs facing the highway.
Uh-huh.
You see the deformation in the feet?
Yeah, it's pushed out.
Yeah, it's about to go. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not good when it got that much easier. Oh gosh, look at the legs go. I don't know how well that shows up on camera. Seth, you got your phone on you? Maybe we can give them a Seth cam.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna shoot it for you since you're being a big baby. You see the deformation in those legs?
Yeah, I definitely can see it.
It's pretty epic. Come check this side out. So this leg on the inside doesn't look too bad, but the one on the outside. Back up to safety, Seth. Let's keep going.
Let me hide behind my meat shield. Hello, Jack Stan.
Hello, Stand.
Hello, Jack Stan.
Hello, Stand. Hello, darling, my old friend. Well, everyone on the internet, let's go back into the race car shop and do a failure analysis on this one. And that is bent as well. Looks like we found some more cheap Chinese failure. So Seth, what do you think about that one? It's great for standing at an angle.
On level ground.
Okay, people. So before the keyboard warriors jump off the deep end, I need you to hear me out. This thing did not go to the stress level we brought the other stand to, right, Seth? You'd agree? Because it was stiff, but it did not take the amount of force it took because these feet began to deform on the stand. You see how they've mushroomed out? The feet mushroomed out. We don't appear to have had any failure of the weld. This one actually has really nice welds compared to the one in the defect picture that we saw from Mike on Instagram. But you can also see here how the weld ends before the end right here. Boy, that's actually not great. We're, yeah, same thing here. The weld ends before the metal. We've got a way to make this fail coming up after this. We'll show you how we're going to do that. This, on the other hand, so yes and no. The way that this failed is better than the other stand. Why do you think, Seth?
Because it held the load?
Because it held the load, right? This thing held the load. If you saw your stand doing this, chances are you'd nope the hell out before it had an opportunity to drop the car on you. So at the very least, even though this metal is probably a little softer than it should be and bent more than it should have, it held its load up until it was so sideways that it actually bent our press. I'll show you that. And then eventually failed. Now let's take the tape off live on camera. And that's why. Oh wow, I can't believe we didn't notice that, Seth. The anvil broke.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah, that's why it's bent so sharply. The anvil has failed. And to be fair, the pawl mechanism still works properly. It also did not shear this pin. I don't know if I can, because I can't get the anvil out. It's too bent. The pin is not sheared in the anvil, in the pawl. What do you think? Maybe we can actually finish that? Give that a stomp, Seth. See if that'll finish. Yep. Oh, well, now we can see through it. For all you metal gurus out there, explain this failure. I know there's guys out there that do this for a living. It is very jagged. It almost seems like porosity was an issue here of some sort, like it was too powdered. Where the break began to occur, it's very cratered. I know there is a specific name for that type of failure. You metal experts out there can go ahead and tell us. But there you go. Let's take a look at the pawl. The pawl looks okay. In fact, the pawl looks like it also was just very barely. Look, you can see just those two outer edges were grabbing. Did it deform the base? It did. So let me straighten this up. The bottom of the base is mushroomed out. The top of the base, I mean, right here is mushroomed out. You can see we began to have a failure here as well. We should be able to see the roll pin now. Let's see if the roll pin slipped. All right, Seth's got his light in here. Oh, nope, nope, shear pin did not fail. Shear pin is intact. All right. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There is, the only other thing I can say is there's a lot of slack now. More than there was before, for sure. This might be oblonged a little bit from the stress. That doesn't look warped or bent, nor does that, nor does this. All right, well, there's your failure of the replacement stands. What do you think, Seth?
Fantastic.
I think it actually only got up to about, what do you think, probably 3 or 4 tons?
Hard to tell.
It'd be hard to tell. I'm sorry, 3 or 4 tons. I think it only got up to 2, maybe up to the 3 tons. And the reason why I say so is the other stand, you know, it was very obvious and punctual when it reached that limit and it started having some structural issues. This one, you know, after only 4 or 5 of the harder pumps, the base began to deform. And then after that, there was almost no stress. Right. You know, like it didn't take much to pump the handle down, and then the anvil gave up the ghost. But let's go take a look at what that did to our press. Can y'all see that? This leg has bowed out and the bottom is shifted this way. This is a 20-ton press, and it's supposed to be a 20-ton press. You would imagine that the physical bottle jack would begin to bypass oil, or a seal would fail long before the iron here would fail.
That's correct.
Right?
I think so.
You'd imagine that, I mean, that would be the factor of safety and strength you would need to deal with 20 tons.
That's right.
That this bottle jack should be the failure point, but that's not what happened here.
Yeah, and they do offer, what, a 10-ton?
They do, and it is very, very, very bent. Let me look down. It is very, very, see, I could come all the way out here. Now you can see down there, very, very bent, deformed. You can see here that the physical bottle jack ram right here, the ram that pushes, deformed as well.
How about the plate?
So this is what we were pushing on. That looks fine. I mean, that's a serious hunk of steel. Got 1 inch of it right there. You can see where the bottle jack pushed off on it, but all it really did was scratch the paint. What about our piece of stainless? Piece of stainless looks fine. That crack was always in that piece of stainless, so don't mind that. You can see where the legs is actually scratching it clean right here. So that's crazy. So now we have to do something epically scary. I'm not prepared to stop here.
Yeah.
We need to take a 3-ton stand, put it inside of the now permanently damaged press.
Right, 20-ton press.
20-ton that's possibly no stronger than a ton or two. And look, there's no way, guys. There's no way we put more than, 3 or 4 tons tops on that stand before it deformed. It wasn't even trying, and this is what happened to the press. Crazy. Let's set up for the US Jack and see if we can finish killing both of them.
No, I'm going behind the Corolla.
You're going behind the Corolla.
Yeah.
Well, only one of us deserves to die today, I guess.
Somebody gotta bring you to the hospital, bro.
That's right, that's true. If I'm bleeding to death, somebody has to do it. All right, everyone. So one thing you might immediately notice, and it is what it is, there's so much damage on the press that we can't go down to that next level. So we've got it up higher. It is locked into teeth right now on this stand, but it's like only 2 teeth up and then locked in rather than midway like we had on the other stands. It shouldn't make an appreciable difference because we're pushing straight down on the stand, it shouldn't move. Let's go for it. Seth has walked all the way to the other side of the shop car. So let's start pushing on this and see which gives up first. The US Jack stand or the Harbor Freight press. All right, we're under heavy load now. Now let's remember this is a 3-ton versus a 6-ton. If this can even get anywhere near what the 6 tons were doing, it is a vast improvement. Let me scoot over. I need to put my body behind this I-beam. I believe you. How bad is it? Seth is saying, I don't know if y'all can hear him behind the camera, that the press is bending pretty significantly. I can't see that. All right, so we softened up. The first failure I'm noticing on the US Jack stand is a deformation of the leg. Seth, come see, please.
I see it.
Come take a look at the US Jack. So we didn't experience a weld failure, but as Seth is showing you right now, you want to get in real close, there's not a lot of weight on it. The leg on the US Jack has bent in. So I was surprised. I expected to see this part of the leg come in, but instead we've had a deformation right here. So let's go a little further and see if we can get more of a failure out of this. If you want to go run and hide behind the car again.
Yeah, although I don't think anything's gonna shoot out.
Okay, you ready?
Sure.
Let's keep going. All right, so yeah, we're major failure of the leg. Let's keep going. And it spit it. Let's get in front of the camera here. All right, so there's your failure of the US Jack. As many people called it on the internet because of this design, the way that this stand would fail would be these pieces of angle iron right here. So let's go do a failure analysis inside where we've got better lighting and it's a little quieter. All right, everyone, so here is the US Jack. Now, let's talk about this failure. So what do you say, Seth? I mean, I was manning the handle. I'd say I probably put 70, maybe 80% of the amount of pressure that it took on the other stands to get this to fail. Right. And for sure on the 6 tons, it was like substantial difference after that 80%, how much pressure it took to make it eventually collapse. Now, to be fair, this stand is rated for half of the 6 ton, and the fact that it even got to 70, 80% is impressive. But we were able to force a failure here that US Jack needs to know about and could be improved upon. Now, to be fair, this is only meant for 1.5 tons. So this is probably overkill for 1.5 tons, but something we noticed here, the anvil is perfect. No damage to the coating. The anvil is nice and straight. You can see here that no matter how hard we pushed on these 2 teeth right here, they haven't been damaged. Seth's showing off the anvil from the Harbor Freight.
6 ton.
All right, a 6 ton that failed on that press. This just got pushed up in here by us, but so y'all could see movement, but there's no failure on the anvil, so this piece looks good. Something I did notice though, US Jack has got these 2 pins that are pushed through this pawl mechanism and then welded on this side all the way around. The welded side was fine, but when we overpressured the jack, the pins actually, see this one just moved enough to crack the powder coating. This one actually slid down into the side, and I don't know, it probably actually oblonged the hole. US Jack, if you're watching, and I know you are, this should most probably be welded on this side as well, just to make sure that this mechanism can't move. So we've got, of course, that deformation of this leg right here. It put a lot of stress on this weld that they've got where the angle iron comes together, and none of these points have ripped. They've all held solid. All you've got here is some powder coating that flaked. Now, as far as the deformation of the leg, kind of suspected that's the way the stand would go because this isn't solid metal here, that it would crumple the leg inwards like this. And I would say it did so in a pretty controlled fashion. Like when we began to overload it and it started to move, it was very apparent that this stand was beginning to fail. So if someone, for instance, used this to hold up a big heavy diesel truck, when they sat it down, this would be obvious that this failure was beginning to occur. I honestly believed I would see much more deformation of these feet here because they're so bare. Now, US Jack is going to go ahead and put some sort of flat stock here to give this a bigger footprint so it doesn't dig into limestone and dirt and everything else. Not that you should be using a jack stand on dirt, but it happens even with asphalt that could dig in. They didn't roll in like I thought they would. And not even on this one. You know, it's rolled in a little bit only because we pinched it in. But this leg did bend in. Now again, we had more than 1.5 tons on this stand. We probably had in excess of 2.5 tons on this stand before this failure occurred. So it makes me really interested, though we've got a bit of a press situation happening. I'd like to see what a 6-ton US Jack stand could handle. You know, because if this can do 80% of the Harbor Freight stand's pressure, what would the 6-ton actually be able to handle? But yeah, US Jack, get the other side of these welded is my suggestion here. For sure, get us some feet on here so it doesn't dig into asphalt and rocks, people with that sort of situation, or even concrete, because this could scar concrete. And then as far as this goes, I don't think I'm going to place any blame on this. We overloaded this stand. It's not an equal comparison. But like I said, I'll call 70 to 80% of a Harbor Freight stand a win. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this fail in a way that it shouldn't fail, just to test the quality of materials and welds. And to do so, we have to show you a new toy that we got. Y'all hold on just a second. All right, Seth, let's go ahead and show us our new toy. US Jack sent this along. It's a little heavy, eh?
I'm gonna need an intermission, bro.
Give us a second. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a little bit of boxception here. I'll hold this down. You want to try to lift that out of there? That looks heavy. It's looking me.
Beautiful.
Wow, beautiful. Look at this. Let's get a close-up on this.
Let's see what it is.
All right, anyone figured it out yet? Any guesses from the peanut gallery? How about now? What would we need a hydraulic hose for? What could we, oh, is that a porta power? Yes, it is. Give us a second. We're gonna get this all unwrapped so y'all can see it, and then we'll get it set up for destroying some jack stands even further. Look at this beautiful piece of equipment. So this is US Jack's 4-ton porta power kit. It's right here, model 5-52001. And this comes with everything you need to get started with having a porta power set up. It was either a 4-ton or a 10-ton, and we chose to go with the smaller of the units for accessibility when working on certain projects. We didn't want all the heft. And you can see here we've got a bunch of rods for extension and pushing. Got what appears to be a stainless chain here, a pair of them. Got an attachment here for doing pulling. Got different paddles and some offsets, and this one for pushing on something that's round shaped. These all have their own uses. This is to push in a corner, I'm sure to push an actual angle in something.
Yeah, make a square.
Right. And it's got everything you could think of that you could try to do something. The power head is very compact. You know, it would, that's not appropriate. I promise it's cold in here. What I noticed, like on the bottle jack, the threads on this are extravagantly well machined. And I'm not fluffing this. You know, you can just feel the difference in a thread from something that's been not worked well, how it's, feels like it's got dust in it. The threads are very tight. There's no movement in it. This is a plastic cap protecting threads for a larger attachment. You've got, of course, a nice quick connect fitting right here. Set that down. What I noticed here is that this attachment is for your wife when she's having a bad day. Now, I think this is for pushing on things that you don't want to injure, possibly more like auto body work, which is primarily what we're going to use this for. It's all, just very, very, very well made. This is all cast iron, all on the physical pump head, and on the rear of the pump here is all cast iron. We just screwed it all together, went to pumping, and it worked. So enough talking about it. It's a beautiful product. Thank you, US Jack. This video is, of course, sponsored by US Jack. Not monetarily, we are sponsored via having a product in our shop so that we can show you quality US made stuff and then have USA made stuff to use on camera while we're doing our projects. So anyways, we're going to set this up to destroy a jack stand's welds and see how well that holds up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if this doesn't look safe at all, it's because, in fact, it is not remotely safe. Let's go ahead and try to break it, Seth. You ready?
Sure.
Go for it.
Going.
It's all safe, Seth. You have your ballistic plywood protecting you. I mean, I'm standing behind the camera. How bad could this go? Well, if anything, it's a very significant test of that porta power's ability not to poop itself.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, I don't think it could run off and get you. It really doesn't have energy in it like that. Can't push anymore?
I'm not saying I can't.
Looks like we're just beginning to experience seam failure here on the weld. It's starting to go. Call it when you're ready, Seth. I don't think we're going to have a catastrophic failure here.
Yeah.
You done?
Unless you want to crank it.
I think we're getting pretty close to the travel of our ram. I mean, I'll crank it. I'm gonna put one more piece of ballistic plywood in. You ready?
Go for it.
All right.
Well, she went.
Something flew.
Did you see that? Yeah, I got it over here. Look.
What broke?
Oh well.
Yeah, so the weld, one of these little feet right here ripped off. Oh, hey, look how it's rusty inside of the weld. Nice. Well, though it began to undo itself, let's see if we can see this. It began to zipper here. I think we can say that was an extreme and catastrophic amount of force that caused this.
It's a 4-ton hydraulic screw.
Right, I'm guaranteeing you nearly all 4 tons in it. So let's go ahead and destroy another one, shall we? All right, y'all, it's begun to rain on us. Let's go ahead and kill this one too. Go for it, Seth.
Going for it.
Oh, wow. I don't know what that was, but it was sketchy sounding. Hold on a second. Just trying to slide off. All right, go ahead. Oh, this one might actually rip. Oh, that's sketchy. Oh, wow.
Here you go, JB. Shawty. I can't get it.
All right. Ballistic plywood engaged. That's all of it. That's full extension. Let's it's pouring. Let's drag this inside and go test it. Well, on the recall replacement stand, the Red Harbor Freight stand, we saw the beginnings of this. The actual recall stand showed us very well what a poor weld looks like. Where's all my welders at? Look at the 0% penetration going on here. We'll give that a solid 0.5%. There was more paint holding this together. Look at this. Look at that chicken scratch splatter that just peeled off the top. There was more paint holding this together than there was weld. And the other side was beginning to do the same thing before we ran out of travel. I'm fairly certain we could have replicated this on the red stand had we had more travel. That foot wouldn't have ripped off. Look, you see it just peeling away? This one actually had, at least at the very end of the weld, more penetration. Well, there you go. The feet stayed on this time, though they were about to remove themselves. The weld was starting to fail here too. But there's your rip. Now, of course, you're not going to do this on a car, but it does show you just how weak the weld is on these stands. Like that is, would you agree? Paint was holding that together. That, my friend, is a paint weld. Grinder and paint weld. All right, y'all, there was no good way to put the porta power in here. So we're going to send it just like you see it. It may, screw off prematurely, but let's go for it. Oh, that would be the premature screw-offedness. There is just no good way to grab this thing. Give us a second. We're going to chuck it again. All right, everyone, we're back. I've re-chucked it since we've bent it. Let's see if we can destroy it. Go ahead, Seth. Wow. That's sketchy as all get out. Keep going, bro. Maxed it out?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
Here's your self-defense bar. Let's see if we can max the pump out. I'm gonna lay down on the ground behind the ballistic plywood. Here we go. Ah, yeah. Getting close to max, that's for dang sure. Oh, getting a little easier. Can't see what's going on, but oh, what failed?
I don't know, I walked away.
Oh, it ripped the weld. All right. Well, that's what we wanted to see. Let's bring it inside and see how it managed to fail. Well, everyone, there you go. What do you think, Seth? Which one took the most force to spread open like that?
Realistically, probably the recalled one. Not the recalled one, but the replacement.
The replacement for the recall? Yeah, I'd say so. That one had a tremendous amount of stretching force because it refused to snap.
Right.
It just stretched and stretched and stretched and deformed. Now, we were able to get the 3-ton to fail, and the USJ Co 3-ton here, so they've got this pencil rod that goes around the outside, and this is all continuous. Continuous. But right here is where the two pencil rods met on this leg that we heavily deformed, and this is where it chose to shear away. So, see if I can get us a good shot of this. So it ripped the physical weld in half. Get some of the powder coating out here. It ripped the physical weld in half. You see that? The weld is actually broken. And then it sheared the metal off of the weld that held the two ends together. See that? See that very deep penetration on that. It was stuck in there good. It actually sheared that rod. And me and Seth were talking about this. We're concerned, I'm not sure how we would go about this in the future, but we're concerned that the deformation of the press possibly caused the unequal weight distribution that destroyed this leg. Right, Seth?
Yeah, it made it lean one way to bend that leg down.
This leg was on the side of the press that was leaning over, so it would have had substantially more weight on it than the rest of it, which would have helped attribute to this failure. Now, we're not making excuses for US Jack. We put well over 1.5 tons on the stand before that happened. And this failure, I guarantee you that the porta power was at about its limit before this failed. It was up against a wall. I was pushing on it as hard as I could. So I'd say right around 3¾ tons is what it took to force this to explode open and separate. But the one thing Seth mentioned and we'd like to show you, Seth, grab all of those pawl mechanisms and make them work now. They're all obviously extremely deformed. It's broken. It's deformed. It couldn't be used again, right?
Right. Lock solid.
Lock solid. Broken, deformed, couldn't be used again. Go ahead. It's locked in. Still working. You can't force the handle out, not even with a single drop of weight on it. Pick up, pull the mechanism out, drops.
Still works.
Now, a lot of guys have said we're just shilling for this company and we're saying it's a better product because it was given to us. But look at what we have done to these stands. Look at it. That thing is a frickin' pancake, man. Look at what we've done to it. This doesn't work anymore. You can't even get an anvil in this. One of them's got an anvil laying in 2 pieces on the floor in here somewhere. The US Jack mechanism, the pawl mechanism, still functions. If we had a little bit more bracing, I think, around the outside of this, it would have taken substantially more force to rip it open. But the takeaway from that is that at no point will anyone be doing this to that stand, and we put well in excess of what that stand was rated for. Remember, that's a 3 ton, so it's rated at 1.5 tons per. This is rated at 3 tons per, and it hung in there with the Harbor Freight, in my opinion. What do you think, Seth? Would you call that at least a 90% comparison?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if it is 90% at 1.5 tons of what this is at 3 tons, what are these really rated at? What are they really capable of before they're going to fold up and collapse? And even more so, if you didn't believe their welds were garbage before, just look at them now. So me and Seth conclude that US Jack's product is better. You can take that as you want. We torture tested them right here on camera. We destroyed a Harbor Freight press, a 20-ton press, destroyed. Maybe, what do you think, Seth? Should we take that to Harbor Freight and see if they'll take it back?
Sure.
I mean, to be real, we didn't do anything wrong, did we? At no point did we come anywhere near 20-ton capacity before that thing tried to fold itself up. Maybe that'll be a video. Maybe that's the next thing y'all see. At some point, we'll try to bring that back. But anyways, we're done with this. We're going to go ahead and pick up all the mess that we made. And I don't know if we're going to get a ram charger video today because the rain ain't playing nice. I think we might give it a little time, go eat lunch. But anyways, as usual, we love y'all. God bless. Peace.
Murphy's Law Garage, take 3.
Do people need to know it took 3 takes just to do the intro?
Well, it is the 3rd time.
It is the 3rd time.